Hi everyone, this is Neel, Raithatha, consultant, audiologist and director of ClearX. Thank you for joining me in this latest video using the iCLEARscope endoscope. And this is of a patient who attends biannually, and a few years ago now, when they first attended, upon removing the wax and dead skin, particularly at the base of the ear canal, a bit deeper on the osseous portion, there was an ulceration with some exposed bone. There was some otorrhea in that region. And for that reason, we referred this patient to ENT to rule out a possible rare external auditory canal cholesteatoma. And they were seen by ENT and who applied some antibiotic and steroid cream in that region where there was some exposed bone and all the adjacent skin was inflamed. As mentioned, there's some otorrhea, so some discharge. They underwent a CT scan, and thankfully, if it was an external auditory canal cholesteatoma, it was caught very early. And they were under the care of ENT for the next 12 months or so, and then eventually discharged. And they do still require regular cleaning, because in that region now, you'll see, once we clean this, there is an erosion there, widening. But fortunately, there's no ulceration, and there's no discharge in that region. There's no exposed bone. And so this patient is quite young. So there's another potential differential diagnosis, which is a benign osteonecrosis. And that's where patients with, like, for example, hypertension, so reduced blood flow to the ear, particularly at the base of the ear canal, it starves the underlying bone, the temporal bone, of all the oxygen and nutrients that it needs. So the bone starts to kind of die away, necrosis, starts to decay, if you like. So it's not diseased bone, it's not infected bone. And then you get sequestration, so separation of the bone, and that can create an erosion at the floor of the ear canal. Patients who take bisphosphonates, for example, as well, for osteoporosis. So bisphosphonates inhibit the activity of osteoclasts. So osteoclasts are specialized bone cells that sit on the surface of the bone. And what they essentially do is break down the surface of the bone into its core minerals and tissue and redistribute it into the bloodstream. So new bone can be formed using those tissues and minerals by other specialized bone cells called osteoblasts. So the idea of that, you're continually recycling the outer kind of layer, if you like, of the bone, just to make sure it still has its integrity. But with osteoporosis, bisphosphonates are prescribed to try in some way increase bone density by inhibiting the functionality, the activity of osteoclasts. But that can make the bone quite brittle, because that outer layer, there might be some bacteria there, for example, and it weakens that bone. Patients, when they go radiotherapy around the head or neck, for example, it can kill a damaged blood vessel supplying blood to the bony part of the ear canal, and they can also develop benign osteonecrosis. So, but this patient, I don't think it was that. I think it was very early stage external auditory canal cholesteatoma. Now, this is their left ear. You may have seen a few fungal spores there, and at the base of the ear canal where there's a little erosion, you'll see that erosion a bit better in a moment. There's a few hyphae there. And in their right ear, although the ear was clear per se, there's no occlusion, it was a bit damp on the eardrum, which I mopped up. Sorry, I've deleted the video because it was a very short video, and I don't know why, I should have shown you guys, because I did do some work on the eardrum there, but it was very quick, just remove some of the dampness. But they did have a lot more fungal spores and hyphae in that side. So it's very likely they've got aspergillosis, which is a form of otomycosis, fungal infection. The other strain that typically can cause otomycosis or fungal infection in the ear is Candida, but the appearance of that is more of a thick, creamy debris, and it's quite medial on the eardrum, where the eardrum is more warmer and moist, etc., and darker in appearance. So it's more of a better breeding ground for fungal infections. Another giveaway that the patient, well, we could visually see it in their right side, and we can actually see a few spores here as well. Not as much though. Is that they exhibited no ultralgia ear pain. So a hallmark symptom of a bacterial infection is otalgia, ear pain. And particularly one way of going, a bedside test is to get the tragus and just apply a bit of pressure. If that's painful for the patient, it's a sign of a bacterial infection. With bacterial infections, you generally get obviously discharge, but also more edema, swelling, and inflammation. With fungal infections, patients don't always report pain. It's not one of those hallmark symptoms, but instead itchiness and irritation. And this patient experiences extreme itchiness in both sides, to the point that he mentioned that sometimes he wakes up in the morning and he can find his finger in his ear. He's not even aware that they're doing it. So just at that ridge, you'll see it just south of the tip of the suction tip. So the top of the ridge in the ear canal is a little erosion there. There's a few hyphae just, and fungal spores, it's extending from there. So what I want to try and do is remove some of this dead skin as much as possible. Now, our ears are naturally houses friendly bacteria and fungi, and some of the friendly fungi is Aspergillus and Candida, but in this case, it's just a slight overgrowth. So this patient's it's got some antifungal treatment. Obviously, the right side is the main one, but going to use it on this side as well. Fortunately for the patient, his wife's a GP, although I don't think his wife is his GP, but she can perform otoscopy and keep an eye on it. Because with fungal infections, they are hard to overcome. Normally, over-the-counter treatment in the UK, you use some particular drops. You have to use it for 2 weeks, get your ears re-examined, and continue to use it until it's resolved. And once it's resolved, you're then meant to use it for another fortnight, just to prevent a relapse, if you like. Now, this patient in the past, when he got long lap, he did suffer from the vasovagal response, where he almost physically felt sick. This is when he first came, so I had to just be careful working around the edges. There's that widening at the base. You can see there's no alteration. Hope you enjoyed that video, guys.